Rise and shine. It's time to get the day started. It is the morning show of record for the homestead community, the Farm to Table Direct Show Morning Edition. Good morning, everybody, and welcome in. Welcome in. I hope you all are staying warm, dry, and healthy this morning. It is colder than a Yeti's icebox out there today, and man, oh man, I tell you what, I went out and fed the dog earlier, and it just made, man, what a shiver. It is nice cold. But speaking of that, let's go out and see our good buddy Jack for the Redneck Weather Report.
Well, good morning, rednecks. It is 32 degrees. North wind makes it feel like it's 23. It's January the 15th, 2025, and we're going to get to 52 degrees today. God bless y'all.
Well, I think it's just a little bit warmer where Jack is than where I am. I think mine was a little bit cooler this morning. Let's pull this up, take a look. Yeah, it says it's 29 where I'm at, and most clear that wind gust up to 6. Well, wherever y'all are at, let us know what the weather is there. Give us a little on the spot what the temperature might be this morning. Well, good morning there, Robbie. Glad to see you. How's things over in southeastern Arkansas this morning? Hope things are well. We are getting ready to jump right on into this. Uh, going to have a good show today, I think. Missed last night, which was a disappointment. We had some things come up, not only with my work schedule, but both also technically, that we were unable to uh, feel like we could put the show on. Keith's been fighting the old froggy voice. A lot of drainage, it's that time of year. And anyway, so just a lot of problems going on last night. We decided to postpone last night's show, which we were going to be digging deep into the bird flu and avian influenza uh, and some stuff like that with Dr. Peter McCullough. But we're going to do it next Tuesday. 28 and clear in southeastern Arkansas over there. Well, that's about right. Lining right in with what it's supposed to be, I think. I don't know. I'll take 28 over these teens that are coming next week at 16, 17, 18-degree weather. I don't do well in all that, but I don't mind cool weather. But there's a ridiculous point. Anyway, we're going to jump right on into today's reality smackdown. So let's get ready to go right here. We will get this up. I'm gonna share a little bit of the headlines this morning because, well, they're kind of important. USDA finalizes third new regulation under the Biden-Harris administration, which is almost over, folks, to create fairness and transparency for contract farmers. Anyway, it was published. Packers and Stockyard Act or rules have been updated. Policies give farmers better insight. Anyway, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack today announced the third installment series of reforms under the Packer Stockyards Act. Specifically, the rule announced today will give chicken farmers better insight into companies' payment rates for their birds, institute stability and fairness, what is commonly known as the tournament system, which basically is that the better your production, the higher you are on the producer scale, the more money you get paid for your bird, that kind of thing, bonuses and such. Anyway, key information, capital improvements, companies require farmers to make, keep or renew contracts, and gives farmers stronger leverage when companies do not adhere to the rules. So, kind of a good deal, Good morning, Joy. Glad to see you there with us. Glad you're welcome on in there. Glad to see you with us this morning. Uh, anyway, yeah, that's the Packers and stuff. Feels like temps in the single digits for the whole state next week. Yes, sir. It's going to be cold, no doubt about it. I'm absolutely know it's going to be cold. I'm not looking forward to it at all. Anyway, that new regulation, they've been working on they've been different things on the Stalkers Backyard Act, Packers and Stockyard Act. Anyway, it's some of it I think looks like it's positive. I know at least in the industry, poultry industry, and some of those things is going to be a help. But anyway, this is one that I think is a pretty hot topic, and this next one up is this right here. Let me find my thing. All right. All right. Senators introduced Lock the Clock bill, make daylight savings time permanent. Lawmakers revived efforts to make daylight savings time permanent, clashing with sleep experts who advocate for standard time for improved health. Uh, I don't know about y'all, but anyway, Senator Rick Scott of Florida has reintroduced the legislation. They want to make daylight savings time permanent. Anyway, there's a coalition of sleep medicine organization locking the clock, but in standard time. That's called the Sunshine Protection Act. Was unanimously passed in the Senate in 2022, but stalled in the House. Anyway, they're reintroducing it. See here constantly from Americans are sick and tired of changing their clocks twice a year. It's unnecessary, decades old practice, more of an annoyance, Scott said in a statement. So, let's just come over here. What y'all's thoughts are on the old time change? I myself, yeah, I don't really care which one you pick. Just pick one. I mean, a lot of people I talk to want the daylight savings set up where, of course, we'd spring forward uh, and stay there. Uh, I don't know which one's better. I haven't read studies or dug into it, but whether it's daylight savings time or whether it's I want to stop. I want to stop the change, but prefer standard time. Yeah, let's see. So there's a comment on that. Yeah, it's. I'm with you, Robbie. I mean, honestly, it's like I said. I don't guess I have a particular. I haven't thought it through that far. I just know that I want to stop doing the changes. And I think people, unfortunately, I think they think that if we do it under the daylight savings time standard, that somehow or another it works better. But I think the clock. I mean, once we're on it, like right now we're on standard time. Just leave it alone and let. I like it getting dark later. I do for getting things done, and I think me and you are probably in that same boat when it's that time of year. It gets dark a little later because we work normal, semi-normal hours. We got that time to get it done. When I used to work nights, oh man, I hated that time of year because I had to black out my shades and everything to even get it close to uh, uh, where I could sleep. So I get both, but yeah, lock it in on one. Standard time seems to be the sleep study people favor, but I know health wise, regardless, it's going to be better. So anyway, so that one. Now this next one, let's see if I go over here. Yeah, I got to go here for that one. This one, let's see where we're at here. I'm going to share this. I'm going to take you into my email box. This came out in the Cultivate newsletter yesterday, and it is called Burpless Burgers and Fart Free Milk. Uh, some of y'all may. This is from Holly Hickman with Cultivate newsletter. Uh, anyway, talking about burpless burgers and fart free. But anyway, what it is, a few years ago, about everybody's heard about the net zero and CO2. Didn't seem like they were going to make it. These are some of the headlines: methane emissions driving climate change, methane matters, climate change curbing methane emissions will buy us time, good gas, bad gas, no comment. Methane's role in climate change. Uh, the last one's Harvard. Anyway, basically, what it boils down to is that methane is responsible. They say methane is responsible for near-term climate change. Uh, anyway, short-term climate response. Anyway, uh, basically, what it is, because cows are ruminants, they regurgitate, they chew their cud, multi-stomach digestive. Anyway, they burp, but they're designed to be rude. They burp, they emit gas, whatever, and that's what they do. And so the old climate change folks are trying to figure out how to do it. Well, welcome to 2025. MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, listed burping cattle remedies as one of the top 10 breakthrough technologies of the year, right in between small limbs models and robo taxis. Anyway, uh, so you got vaccines that they can give them. They got gene editing. Anyway, and they're going to get more about that later. Seaweed, which and three nitrooxypropanol. Say that twice fast. Anyway, or as the kids call it these days, 3-nop. The latter two, the seaweed and the 3-nop, are feed additives. Basically, put it in there, and it basically changes things. It's a synthetic. That 3-nop's a synthetic feed additive. They monitor it anyway. It's basically stuff they put in the feed of the cattle that does alterations in the stomach that gets them to stop doing what they naturally do. And gee, I don't see where there could possibly be any problems there of messing with a cow's digestive system. Of course, if you want to blame cows for climate change, we've got a different conversation we need to have. But anyway, that's the headlines. I mean, that last one I kind of set there for that reason because it's like, really? I mean, we're now trying to come up with scientific methods or medicinal methods or laboratory methods of stopping a cow from burping and farting. Uh, ain't quite figured that one out. Never thought it's wow that they're that serious about it. I guess, but whether somebody's come up with this idea that it works. But agencies are supposed to monitor that. They keep track of how much, and they say that it doesn't affect anything. Good morning, bro. Glad to have you in. He's saying good morning to everyone. All right, glad to have you with us, bro. Hope you're feeling a little better this morning. Uh, but anyway, yeah, it's I could not believe that they've actually got medicines out there, scientific medicines and things, and putting seaweed, a particular type of seaweed, in their feed additives, and uh, you know, exactly. That was kind of my similar thought, Robbie. That just might have exploding cows. Where does the gas go exactly? And what it tells me is they're not going to be able to digest their food, process their food the same way that they normally would, and that's going to mess with things. I just don't think it's. I'll say what I say. Messing with God's design. It's been working for centuries, forever. I don't think it's going to stop working. Uh, but anyway, that's kind of where things are at with that, and I'm looking forward to more information from her. Uh, go out to cultivatenews.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. You can read the entire thing there, and she puts out stuff every week, and usually insightful, really dug in and thoughtful stuff as far as that and the information that she has as she puts her journalism background to work for us. But anyway, so Cultivate News, interesting stuff like this, and she has a it's an interesting reading style. I didn't get into it this morning, but so go check that out. But Robbie, I was just sitting there thinking, it's like mice because they don't have that ability. If they get a hold of certain things like too much rye, it was soda pop and things like that. It'll cause the same thing. They have no way to belch or get it out. Birds, if they get too, like rice and stuff, they bloat up. They whatever. So I mean, are we trying to do that to 1,200-pound cows? But anyway, apparently that three knob or whatever, I guess it only takes like just a little bit. I mean, a real minute amount in the feed, against a 1,200+ pound cow. I don't know. Makes no sense to me. But that's just some of the crazy stuff that goes on out there. Anyway, we're going to move right along. And we're going to jump right into this day in history. 1844, the University of Notre Dame receives its charter in Indiana. Hard to believe that school's been around that long. I'm going to let you get that rubbish coming in. God designed them to judge us, so we can't improve on that. Absolutely. Um, it's kind of like our own, but you just got to take care of it. But yeah, I agree. No sense in changing, messing around with it. But that's what them scientists like to do. Keith and I were talking about the kind of what their hubris is to that. But anyway, University of Notre Dame receives its charter in Indiana, 1844. Only relevant to me simply because Notre Dame's getting ready to play in the college football playoff championship this coming Monday, the 20th. So here we are. Anyway, this one's interesting. 1927, Tennessee Supreme Court overturns on a technicality John T. Scopes' guilty verdict for teaching evolution in the Scopes monkey trial, but the law itself remains in force. So there you go. The Scopes monkey trial. Historical. Hilarious, really, when you think about it. That anyway, you have to read up on that sometime if you haven't ever checked that out. But anyway, 1967, Super Bowl one. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, Los Angeles, California. Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs 35-10, and the MVP was Bart Starr, the Green Bay quarterback. So, 1967, Super Bowl one. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. kind of the building of sports. This day, 1973, President Nixon suspends all U.S. offensive action in North Vietnam. So there we go. That was a big time for a lot of people. Had a lot of effect to get us out of that needless war there. 2009, Chesley, get that right, Chesley Sullenberger lands U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River. Shortly after takeoff from LaGuardia Airport in New York City, all passengers and crew members survive in what becomes known as the Miracle on the Hudson. Uh, I recommend go watch the movie Sully. It's got Tom Hanks plays Sullenberger. Uh, Excellent movie. Really tells the story well. I recommend. If you're looking for something to watch that's based on true story and just is amazing, go watch Sully. It's a movie called Sully. Anyway, Tom Hanks is in that. But anyway, that was just an amazing thing. It still amazes me seeing pictures of it. But anyway, so that was that. And of course, 2021, we couldn't have a show without the old C word. Global death toll from the COVID-19 pandemic passes 2 million. Question mark, question mark, question mark. But anyway, did it really? Bear with me right here for just a minute as we transition, and we are going to go to a
Hey, coffee lovers, want the freshest, tastiest brew? Say hello to Farm2Table Direct Coffee. At Farm2Table Direct Coffee, we offer premium beans handpicked for ripeness. Place your order, and our expert roasters get to work. Your coffee is roasted and shipped the very same day. It's that simple. Stay updated with notifications at every step. For the freshest, custom-roasted coffee, visit farm2tabledirectcoffee.com. That's farm, the number 2, tabledirectcoffee.com. Experience the difference Farm2Table Direct Coffee can make in your morning routine. From the farm to your table, the freshest coffee guaranteed.
All right, all right. Welcome back in from that little break right there. Farm2Table Direct Coffee tastes good, and some would say good for you. There we go, right there. All right, well, it's time to jump right into this morning's topic: grain-fed versus grass-fed beef, and what's the difference? I want to go ahead and pull this article up, and I'm going to share this with you. There's a lot of hullabaloo. Um, you know, grass fed beef, grain fed beef, how cows finished out, what the beef on our marketplace, what the differences are. And we're going to kind of dig into some of that. I think it's kind of an interesting topic so people can kind of understand what's going on with it. Hey, people make choices, and, some things are a little more, they take a little more time or they cost a little more, but maybe they're worth it. So we're going to jump into that. This is an article that on Epoch Health from Epoch Times. Anyway, grain-fed beef versus grass-fed beef. What's the difference? Raising the beef that ends up on your plate is a complex process with variables that affect everything from taste to its price tag. Very much agreed. This article is by Dr. Emma Suddy. She's actually something or another. I think it's acupuncture or something or another. I read on the bottom of it. Anyway, she's a contributing person for Epoch Health. Anyway, how many of us truly know the difference between grass-fed and grain-fed beef beyond its impact on the wallets? Cattle fed and raised affects their meat, flavor, texture, and nutritional value. The impact on the environment costs for both farmers and consumers, and understand what goes in is key to making more informed choices. So, anyway, early life, raising cattle is a complex process, go through different stages. Cattle destined to become grain or grass-fed start their lives in a similar way. They nurse, they roam freely. However, once they are weaned, their paths diverge and their lives are very different. It's kind of one of those things. At the initial stage, when animals usually between 6 to 8 months old, conventionally raised cattle may be moved to a backgrounder farm and ranches before they arrive at a feedlot for finishing at about 14 to 20 months. Back up on this backgrounder farm, basically that is, in some places you have people that they breed, they raise them up once they're weaned, and then they send them off to a different farm where they get a diet. It's before they go to the feedlot, and they go over there and they get spend more time there and get beefed up a little. Kind of get a little more growing. That person, it's a middle ground. Not everybody does it. I think a lot of it depends on size of operation and that sort of thing like that. Um, but anyway, I have picked up from a background farm and taken cattle to the feedlot from there. So they do. I can validate they do exist. Anyway, Allison Costo, a Broadway County Extension agent, Montana. Calves are weaned. They have a couple potential destinations. Around 60% of calves are backgrounded, a phase designed to increase their weight before finishing. And then the remaining calves go to a feedlot for finishing directly after weaning, she told the Epoch Times in an email. About 95% of cattle in the U.S. are finished that way. Feedlots cattle are finished, fattened up, grain-based diet. Uh, Brings the animal to their target weight more quickly, preparing them for slaughter sooner. And about 95% of cattle in the U.S. are finished this way. So 95%, I mean, that's a big number when you think about how many are finished out on grain in feedlots. 95%, that's a lot. That only leaves 5% for the other side of this. Uh, really, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Now, I would say, yeah, that may be fair. Uh, anyway, the reason behind practice cattle become older, they become less efficient, more difficult to convert feed to muscle or meat, is what this person said. Grain provides more energy, so the cattle fish. In addition, feeding is kept in smaller spaces. Feedlots, feed yards, or concentrated animal feeding operations or confined animal feeding operations, CAFOs. We talked about that the other day about the Oregon and stuff. Anyway, large operations animals. It's economical, but it also exposes them to health problems. Uh, The difference, said a misconception, is that grain-fed animals spend most of their life in confinement, which you said isn't true. Only their last 4 to 6 months eating grains and feedlots, but still, it's grain-fed are typically slaughtered 14 to 18 months of age, but could be up to 22. Grass-fed cattle take much longer, typically slaughtered 22 to 30 months of age and less likely to go background through a backgrounding phase. Anyway, it's kind of where that's at. Conventionally raised cattle receive various medications, vaccines, respiratory, gastrointestinal disease, antibiotics, steroid implants to promote growth, anabolic compounds to encourage weight gain and feed efficiency. Antibiotics like naloxone, some of these are tetracycline and sulfamethazine. I don't know what those are or what all that is, but when you get big words like that, rest assured it is man-made. Deworming and parasite treatments are given to combat the stress animals may experience transport in crowded conditions. Animals have been stressed, release hormones into the meat. The stress affects the animals. Exposed being less tender. General grass-fed beef is exposed to fewer stresses, less traditional grain. Just because animals are grain-fed does not automatically mean they're stressed. Factors such as animal handling, management, transportation before slaughter. I can agree with that. Uh, Now, there's a lot of concerns about increasing antibiotic use in cattle, particularly in large-scale feed operations, contributes to multi-drug resistance. A recent study by researchers at the University of Saskatchewan found an antibiotic-resistant gene in feedlot water bowls, and another recent study states antibiotic use in farming expected to increase 8% between now and 2030, between 2020 and 2030. Now, with 95% of our cattle being raised this way, what goes into those cows as far as the grains and the medicines and those things, that's huge because that affects a lot more. Because, you are what you eat, so a cow is what it eats. The same thing with us. We are what we eat. So, it stands to reason. Now, they say it's monitored, and I agree, they do, and they check, but stress, does affect a lot. The conditions, it affects a lot of what we get. That's just, it's a lot. It just makes sense to me that way. Grass-fed cattle. After weaning grass-fed cows open in groves and neighborhood pastures, they can move around freely, spend their days outdoors. They tend to be healthier because they're more harmonious. They eat their natural diet. And grass-fed cattle take up approximately 4% of beef in the U.S. because grass has less energy, fewer calories, take longer to reach their target weight. up to twice as long. They also require more land for grazing, making operations more expensive. Cattle that have eaten grass their entire lives have leaner meat with less fat. When we see grass fed on grocery store labels, we assume these animals ate grass their entire lives. However, it might not be that simple. Some ambiguity in grass fed claims. Now, Tom Moore raises 100% grass fed beef on his cattle farm, M&M Farms in Arkansas. Uh, I know I've met Tom and his wife. They have this business. They also run a local paint store here. They are local to where I live, and they do sell 100% pasture raised grass fed beef. There's a whole lot with what their certifications are. But M&M Farms, they're right here in western Arkansas where I live. Anyway, he says that if you say 100% grass fed, that pretty much covers it. But if you just call your cattle or your product grass fed, that leaves room for the fact that yes, it ate grass once in its lifetime. However, for the last several months of its life, it could have been fed a heavy diet of grains. Very often, they would go right from milk to grain in a commercial pipeline. Some agree, some disagree. Probably have enough grass they could legitimately say they've been fed grass, but you almost cannot prevent them from eating grass, seeing as that is their food of choice. Um, and there's grass fed. Let's see, beef labeled grass finished. Costo says. She says this term is sometimes used interchangeably with grass fed, have different meanings. Grass finished means that the animals were brought to finish weight on a non grain forage based diet. By definition, it's possible for grass finished beef to have been fed grain at some point in its life. However, during the final phase, the animal was still brought to its final weight on a grass forage based diet. Because there aren't label guidelines for the grass finished concept, producers can still use it for animals who have eaten grain their entire life. Uh, Now, they get into health commitment, which grass fed animals are, uh, you know, uh, leaner and have less fat, fewer calories. Grass fed meat has higher vitamins A, E, omega 3 fatty acids, and conjugated linoleic acids. Both grass fed have a wide variety of nutrients. Grass fed is higher in many beneficial nutrients, improving animals' health and ours when we eat them. Andrea Soares, registered dietitian with Top Nutrition Coaching, spoke. Difference between grass fed. Grass fed has become popular for its potential health, provides more natural and nutrient dense alternatives to grain fed. Uh, and let's see, here we go. So while grass fed beefs tend to be leaner and richer in certain nutrients, grain fed beef is often preferred for affordability, tenderness, and milder flavor due to higher fat content. Both can have a place in a healthy diet, but grass fed beef may offer added advantages for those seeking specific health benefits. It's a grass fed, it's 5 times more omega 3. Omega 3 is crucial for reducing inflammation and supporting cardiovascular health and improving brain function. Uh, and so the grain fed have higher levels of omega 6 fatty acids, and they are essential, but too much can contribute to inflammation. And so, too many omega 6 and too few omega 3s, inflammation, make the immune system more reactive, blood clots, things like that. Grass fed beef, vitamin B has twice the amount. Grass fed twice the riboflavin, 3 times the thiamine, and as much as 4 times vitamin E of beef finished on grain. Another study found that the longer bulls were on a high concentrated corn diet, the more insulin resistant they became. That's very important. Listen, insulin resistance, that's a big problem. And their average daily weight gain and feed efficiency, turned food into energy, decreased. The study also suggests inflammation could be a factor in developing insulin resistance in cattle. Now, another thing they talk about is food because they said the grains, uh, you know, can have our grains grown for livestock sprayed with pesticides like our good old friend glyphosate. You might remember that from Roundup. But anyway, all of the U.S. Environmental EPA, like we trust that. Anyway, a maximum guideline for maximum residue limits, including feed. International Agency for Research on Cancers classified glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen, Group 2A. Found even brief exposure in mice led to significant inflammation in the brain associated with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Uh, Source said the grass-fed animals are less likely to encounter pesticides. Uh, let's see, regulatory agencies monitors long-term studies on what it really gets down to is we don't have any long-term studies on the overall cumulative effect of all this, and grass-fed systems often rely less on uh, pesticides used on crop feed. Livestock residues accumulate in animals' fatty tissue, passed on to the consumer. Although they like to say it doesn't, long-term health implications of low-level pesticide exposure through meat consumption is still being studied. Uh, Food Safety Inspection Service, part of the USDA. These labels could term grass-fed, raised without antibiotics, free range. Food Safety Inspection Service, FSIS, decided not to create official definitions. Now, uh, Tom Moore explains that they work with a third-party inspector called A Greener World, which gives his farm an animal welfare and a 100% grass-fed certification. He was the first farm in Arkansas to receive it. He said to receive animal welfare, an inspector comes to the farm and examines different aspects: animals' feed, water sources, adequate shelter in case of extreme cold, or their pasture was destroyed by fire. Very strict rules about what medication can be given, and he must keep meticulous records of the medications animals receive. They'll even go as far as to look at the trailer we transport our animals in and make sure we've got non-skid surface in the trailer. Going down the highway, the animals have less chance of slipping and being hurt. That's the animal welfare portion. One label that they're allowed to use in our package, we also qualify for 100% grass-fed, and they monitor that too. Um, USDA does have an outline, but program was had a program for grass-fed label, but was discontinued in 16. However, it does provide guidelines. Uh, F states grass-fed claims may only be applied to meat and meat products derived from cattle that are only 100% grass-fed after being weaned from their mother's milk. FSIS does not provide any guidelines for grass-finished. Um, let's see, USDA has a grading system for beef, portion of prime. It's always because grass-fed animals require more time. Meat has less marbling or fat, less likely to receive a grade prime. Anyway, more explains cost concern. One reason our product, the 100% grass-fed, is more expensive per pound than the factories. We don't have the same economies of scale. We can't turn our cattle around in 18 months. It takes almost twice as long. And Custos is more concerned about the land that's required to finish, and that we're having less land but more people. But final thoughts: raising cattle complex process. No simple way to describe all grass-fed or grain-fed animals. Many factors come into play. All beef is nutrition, provides important protein, vitamins, and minerals. Whether you choose grain-fed or grass-fed depends on what's important to you and what you can afford. And I would heavily agree on that one. I know that was a lot of reading, folks. Thank you for sticking with me through that. I know that's a lot of reading. I know I'm a little over on time. We're going to have to kind of get through this. But that's just kind of some highlights. I went through it rather fast, but the grass fed versus grain fed really is. I mean, most of us, we go to the stores or wherever we get our beef, and it's going to be done that way. Now, if you have a local producer, local cattle raiser, rancher that you can meet, processor, whatever that can link you up, you can find out more specifically what that cow, find somebody that you can find direct, you can find out how it was raised, what it ate, those types of things. That's a good way to get an idea of what's going on. If you can want to buy local, I know I talked to them at M&M Farms here recently, and the price per pound on an even ground on their natural is a little bit higher than what you're going to pay at the box store, but it's better quality meat. And I think that's a key crucial element there is that, you're paying for the quality. And as Tom said in that article, it takes them, twice as long to raise it out. They have processing expenses in that. They have a lot of inspections and certifications they go through. So yeah, it is going to drive the price up, and it is somewhat of a still with only 4% of the beef in the U.S. That is sold. Now, that doesn't mean people don't raise their own and do it differently, but 4% of what's sold is that way. So, I mean, that's still a very small market. It means 95, 96% of the beef in the U.S. that is sold is grain finished. It's gone to a feedlot. It's gone through that system. Now, I didn't bring up a picture, but there's pictures out there. You can see the difference between something somebody raised and had processed versus stuff that's been through the system, you might say. Kind of got to make choices on your own, what you can afford and what your health issues and that type of thing. I will tell you that there is taste difference. There is, like anything else that's raised the more natural way versus putting in different additives. If it's just grains and stuff, I don't think it's really that big of an issue, depending on where you get your grain from. Non-GMO, you source your grains in the right place, that kind of thing like that. I think there's smart ways to do both. If you're going to finish out your own cattle and that type of thing, I think there's smart ways you can do both. Much like people look into their feeds for everything, non-GMO, etc. I think you can do the same thing. So, the choice ultimately is ours. What we, where we're going to get our beef, where we're going to get it, and what process it's went through. But the only way that you can know for certain is either raise your own or know the person who raised the beef and purchase directly from them. Uh, the stuff that goes through the supermarkets and the box stores and stuff has probably got uh, some of these things that I described. And I hope that helped get just a little more information on the difference that, something can be labeled as grass fed or grass finished and it, you know, depending on what its label comes from, depends on what it's been done. Grain fed, you see the cycle that goes. And right there, my brother, that there, raise your own or buy local if you can. That is the best way. If you can find somebody local to buy from, might cost you a few more pennies, but it's worth it for your health, I think, and I agree with that. Uh, and so that is kind of there. We're going to wrap that up. Hopefully that helped to eliminate some and maybe help maybe people think about what the choices are. Uh, I will always encourage you to buy local. That's always the best way. Uh, but now you kind of got some stuff. And go back to on that grain fed versus grass fed. You can search it out and get some information. That's the key to it all, right there, information. But anyway, we're going to transition out of that. I hope it was informative. I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to go through some events real quick. Of course, I will be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. And there you go. First timer, though. Well, everybody's got to do something for the first time they wrote it. And I've never done it that way, so I've never been a part of that. Always, So hats off that you're working on that. I know that's good stuff right there. Um, Anyway, upcoming events, January 18th to 19th, Western Reserve Homestead Summit. That is this weekend. Lake Farm Park, Kirtland, Ohio. Another one that I know is coming up. Homesteaders of Iowa Expo 2025 Midwest Conference at the Bridgeview Center, Ottumwa, Iowa. That is February. Hang on just a second. That is February. I had the dates. Where'd I go? Uh, yeah, February 21st. I know Dr. Jones and some of the others are going to be there, but I also know our good friend Monty Shrump's going to be there. Um, so anyway, and then March 21st, 22nd, we are 64 days to wake up. Okie Homestead Expo, Mays County Fairground, Pryor, Oklahoma. Tickets are on sale now. Go to Okie Homestead Expo on Facebook or search it out in the old search bar and you'll find it. Get your tickets. And of course, then I've continued to event the Shindig Ozark Living Expo, April 25th, 26th in Jasper, Arkansas, at the Newton County Fair and Rodeo. And of course, we'll continue to promote it until we know we can't. Our Homesteaders of America Conference 2025, Front Royal, Virginia. Tickets on sale now, $50. These sell out quickly. I'm not sure where they're at, but I know they were at 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I'm looking at a timer over here. I know they were at over halfway through what they had just the other day. So I'm sure that that's going. But anyway, folks, I'm going to have to get out of here. I'm way over on time this morning. But it was a big topic and a lot to read through. And so there it is. But anyway, thank you all for sticking with me and coming in and joining. Glad to see you all this morning. That is a wrap for today on the Farm2Table Direct Show Morning Edition. Thanks for joining us as we explore the headlines and stories impacting our world for now and in the future. Uh, there is a couple of new links. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Over here in the chat, a couple of new links in the description of this. And that's one is how to find and source local food. That's something it's and then buy local grocery. These are two PDF things that Keith and I have found and put together that is in the description. You can help you source things locally and how to buy things locally. So by all means, go down in the description get those links, click that, and follow that through. It'll be a little tool to help you out. We're going to try to continue to find these little tools to pass on to you. Also, next Tuesday, we will be back on the Tuesday Night Live, where we will get into the avian influenza and some suspicious, sneaky stuff going on around there about that. Could it be the next pandemic? Anyway, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channels on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. It is the best way to stay connected, help grow the conversation about food, farming, and community. Remember, you are the difference. Until next time, keep your roots deep, your vision growing. Good food starts with great people. And remember, we are #stronger together. Be a blessing to someone today and go out and have a great day. Have a blessed day. And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning, same time, 6 a.m. And until then, we will see you on the other side.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.